I'm doing it now because I am coming out on Instagram and I'm gonna do a video about coming out, but I just wanted to get some clips while I do it. I'm scared.
Do it.
I'm gonna.
Do it.
I love you. Enjoy your shower.
No.
For a large part of this year, I was absent from this account. In that time, I finished my animation degree in the midst of lockdown, I had a full-time job as a key worker, and I came out to my family. Now that I'm using this account again, I'm coming out to all of you. I'm genderqueer and transmasculine. I use they, them, or he, him pronouns. I've known this about myself for a long time. In my early teens, I hated my assigned gender and everything associated with it. As I got older, I began to think that this was the result of internalized misogyny, and thus tried my hardest to find a semblance of pride in my femininity, which I did. I love the feminine parts of myself. Femininity is a beautiful thing, but I still couldn't find it in myself to be okay with being a girl. I struggle immensely with physical and social dysphoria, and I recently got to a point where it became more painful for me to be in the closet than to come out. There are things about my gender that I'm still figuring out, trying to work out where my boundaries are, what I'm comfortable with. But I suggest that if who I am makes you uncomfortable, that you politely unfollow and we can both mind our own business. I'm so excited for what feels like a new chapter in my life of being truly, authentically myself. Being able to let who I am on the inside out and flourish into the person that I know I am. Especially exciting as I have the support of my amazing family and my boyfriend. I hope that you'll all support me too. I'm a little nervous. I mean, I've said before that I don't really care what people think, as long as sort of the immediate people in my life are supportive, and I don't care. Like, I have Kieran who supports me, and my family are supportive, and my best friend Jordan is so lovely and supportive. So beyond them, I don't really care what people have to say. But it doesn't mean I'm any less nervous about talking about it so publicly. This tea is really cold. Jordan commented and she used he, him pronouns, yay. It's so nice, like, immediately, like, those people that I just said, immediately, like, within 5 minutes of me posting or commenting the nicest things, so. Put my pronouns in my bio. Kieran?
Yeah.
I did it.
What's wrong with me?
My baby out. My baby out. Baymax be like, good job in doing the thing.
Thank you, Baymax. Don't bend his arms all weird.
What do you mean? They twist?
Yeah, they twist, but you're bending them. He's very delicate, don't you know?
I did it.
Good job, I'm proud of you.
My mom and my sister and Jordan are commenting nice things.
Bro, get supported.
You have the perfect comment? Well, it's not a competition, people.
No, it is a competition. I just fucking won. I just aced it.
Okay, I look forward to seeing this comment. Why Little baby man. Little baby man.
Little baby man.
Little baby man. Little baby man. Little.
That doesn't sound like support. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Yikes. Hi, it's Ash. Okay, first of all, I want to apologise for my appearance. I have had a sinus infection last week, and then I had eye infections in both eyes and eczema flare-ups on my eyelids, which has caused my redness in my face to flare up a little bit as well. It's not been a great week for me, so I really do apologise that I look like this. But I really wanted to film this video, and I don't think I'm gonna appearance-wise change much in the next few days, so we're just gonna go with it. I'm sure you saw in the first bit of the video that I recently came out as genderqueer and transmasculine. Yeah, so I just wanted to sit down and kind of chat about that and talk about why I came out as genderqueer and why I came to that conclusion in the first place. My gender is something that I've just always been hyper aware of since I was younger. I never really thought about it much until I got into sort of preteen years, and then I was so aware of it and I hated it so much that I didn't really know what to do. And I thought for a long time that I didn't like my gender because of internalized misogyny, because it's not fun being a woman a lot of the time, regardless of any other things going on. I spent a lot of time trying to love being a woman and femininity and everything that came with that. As a teenager, I kind of started to explore a little bit more with clothing and makeup and different hobbies and trying to find out where I fit in as a woman. And I was quite successful. I mean, I love femininity, but I found it, even though I started to love being feminine, I still didn't like being a woman, because as we all know, being feminine and being a woman are not the same thing. I started to question my gender even further at this point because I realised that something really wasn't clicking, and I thought maybe I'm gender fluid. Maybe being a girl is okay sometimes, but sometimes that's just not for me, and that didn't click either. I realised that my gender itself never changes. I'm not fluid. I am who I am, and that's the same person yesterday as today as tomorrow. The thing that did change was my dysphoria. It would be stronger on some days and harder to deal with and really, really take a toll on me emotionally, and other days I could cope with it. But that's something different to my gender itself changing. Dysphoria, for those of you who don't know, is something that trans people experience. Not all trans people, but vast majority. Dysphoria is defined as the intense distress and dissatisfaction a person experiences when their gender doesn't match with their assigned sex. So those are two different things. You have your sex, I am female, that won't change, and your gender. Gender is far more about presentation and identification than anything else. Sex is merely about your chromosomes, it's about your genetic makeup, it's about your physical biology. But even then, there are intersex people who don't fit man or woman. So dysphoria is when your gender and your assigned sex don't match up and they cause extreme discomfort. I really can't stress enough how horrible of a feeling dysphoria is. There's kind of different types of dysphoria, so you can have dysphoria with your physical body not matching how it should. And you can also have societal dysphoria, so the way people treat you, the words people use for you, those things not matching up can really have an emotional impact. For me, I have physical dysphoria. I have mainly chest dysphoria, And I think this is one of the biggest factors to me coming out, is that as a teenager, even though I went through puberty, I didn't really have a large chest. And then as I got a bit older, I think a few years ago now, I went on birth control, and as tends to happen for some people, my chest got larger, quite a lot larger, and all of a sudden what I'd enjoyed in the past, a relatively flat and small chest, I didn't have anymore, and I was just so uncomfortable and confused as to why I was uncomfortable. There were times before when I thought my discomfort with my chest as a teenager was because I didn't have big enough boobs. But actually when my chest got bigger, I realised that wasn't that at all. It was that I did have boobs in the first place. That was the problem. I realised that there's no deniability here. It really is a problem for me, and it is a problem for me. I'm now lucky enough that thanks to my job over the summer, I was able to buy myself a binder from a safe and reputable company, which was, let me find it. Okay, now I remember. I got my binder from GC2B, which is a company run by trans people for trans people. And I can't stress this enough. If you're a trans person, a transmasculine person, it is so important to bind safely. There's so many different ways that people try to bind because they can't afford a binder. Please, please, please do not do that. It is so damaging. Actually, it can do enough damage to your chest that in the future, if you want top surgery, you then can't get that. It does too much damage. It's just not worth it. I know that dysphoria is awful and crushing, but it's not worth risking your physical health though. But for something that you're going to wear most days, and that, if not worn correctly, can do you a lot of damage, it's really important to make the investment, get something safe. I realise that I've been talking about binders and chest dysphoria for ages now, so I'm going to move on. I was going to sit and talk now about the other kinds of dysphoria that I experience, but then I realised I haven't really explained my gender that much yet, so I'm going to do that now. I identify as genderqueer, and I came to the realisation in the past few years that it doesn't really matter whether I was born a man or a woman, I would have identified as genderqueer. That's my physicality and my sex in that doesn't matter. That's what feels most comfortable to me. What is unfortunate though is that physically, and if I do have to be gendered one way or the other, I would be more comfortable being gendered as male, being gendered as a boy, and having a male body, which is unfortunate for me because out of a 50-50 chance, I was born a woman. When I was questioning my gender over the past, really trying to think about it seriously over the past few years, I tried to think about if I could customize myself and my body and the way people talked about me and what I would wear, all down to the finest details, to make me the most comfortable and most best version of myself that I could. What would that person look like? And what I imagined was really complicated and confusing. I imagined a person who, okay, probably the same height as I am now, same build as I am now, but they have a flat chest, and physically that's male, but maybe they don't have any facial hair. I don't want facial hair. The idea of facial hair makes me really uncomfortable, but they do have leg hair. And socially, I would probably be referred to as a boy or as they, them, and that's what's comfortable to me. I would look fairly androgynous. My voice would be deeper than it is now, but it wouldn't be a man's voice. It would be somewhere in between. Once I had this image of this person in my head, it was a few years ago now, and it was reassuring to have that person in my mind, to know that they did exist in some way or another. But it was also scary because I realised that the ideal version of myself is complicated and not necessarily easy to explain to people. But I was just upset with myself that this idea of my gender was so complicated. For the past, 5 years, there's been days where my dysphoria has almost lifted completely, and I could convince myself that I didn't need to think about it anymore and I could live as a woman and everything would be fine. And then there would be other days where I would literally cry myself to sleep because I wasn't born a boy. I still don't want to be a boy, but the person in my head that is me is closer to being a boy than a girl. So what does this mean for me as a person moving forward? That's the happy bit and also the stressful bit. I have now told almost everyone in my life and got such an incredible amount of support, so thank you all very, very much for that. You don't know how much it means to me. I've purchased a binder, which I am wearing today, which has helped my chest dysphoria immensely. Eventually, I would like to microdose on testosterone. Microdosing is where you take a significantly lower dosage than you would normally be prescribed if you were a trans man. So you see changes slower and it's a more controlled change, because I would like to lower my voice, maybe have my facial structure. It's not your actual structure that's changing, it's not your bones, but it's like the redistribution of fat and muscle. I would like my face to be a little bit more masculine, just generally be more androgynous looking, because I'm aware I do not pass at all currently. So eventually I would like to microdose and maybe one day have top surgery. That's a long way off though and can be very expensive. So currently I just need to contact my GP and get on a wait list for a gender clinic. There are only 7 of them in the whole UK, and the wait list for a gender clinic, just for a assessment, just one appointment at the gender clinic, there's like at least 2.5 years wait at almost all of the gender clinics, so I really need to get that process started. Generally, just my plan, I guess, is to be more me and be open to sharing who that is with other people, even if that's a little scary, and hopefully talk about gender issues with other people in my life more and be a good trans advocate for people who don't really know much about the trans community. I want to be that person who is open and friendly and happy and willing to answer any question anyone has. I think this might be a long video. I feel like I've been sat here for a long time, so I'm very sorry if this is a very long video, but thank you for your patience and for watching up to this point. I will leave you now to end this video with a clip that I took when my binder was first delivered and I tried it on for the very first time. Just the expression on my face when I see what I look like wearing it, I think that sums up pretty well why I decided to come out in the first place. So yeah, thank you. And please, if you haven't already, like this video and maybe subscribe if you want to. Thank you. Bye.